The voice that wasn't yours. You're not good enough. Who do you think you are? You're going to fail again. Let me ask you something. Have you ever heard a voice inside your head that sounds like you, but feels like a bully? A voice that seems determined to undermine you, to doubt you, to make you small right when you're trying to grow? You're not alone. What if I told you that voice isn't really you? What if that voice, the one you call your inner critic, isn't a natural part of your personality, but a psychological shadow, a ghost from your past, a mask from the world, a distorted reflection of everything you were told not to be? This is not self-help fluff. This is depth psychology. This is Carl Jung. And today we are going deep beneath the surface, into the unconscious. Meet the inner critic, the invisible puppeteer. Imagine this. You've just finished a creative project. You're about to hit publish, but something stops you. A whisper. This isn't good enough. Who do you think you are to share this? People will laugh. It's subtle. It sounds like you, but it feels cold, detached, merciless. That right there is the inner critic, the part of you that acts as judge, jury, and executioner of your self-worth. And here's the trap. Most of us think that critic is us, but it's not. Carl Jung once said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. The inner critic is not your true voice. It is a psychic entity, a shadow, forged by years of repression, cultural conditioning, and psychological defense. But to understand how it got there, we need to go back. Childhood, where the shadow is born. When you were a child, you were whole. You laughed too loud. You cried openly. You danced in the middle of a store because your favorite song came on. You were alive, unfiltered. You were you. But slowly you started to notice something. Don't be so sensitive. Boys don't cry. That's not how girls act. That's weird. That's too much. And piece by piece you began to bury parts of yourself. You learned what was acceptable and what was not. You learned how to wear a mask. In Jungian terms, this mask is called the persona, the face you show the world. And everything you hide behind that mask, that becomes the shadow. Now here's the twist. The shadow doesn't stay hidden forever. It returns, but not as the joyful parts of you trying to break free. It returns as the inner critic. The shadow in disguise. Your inner enemy wears your voice. Let's break this down. The shadow holds everything we reject or repress, both dark traits and beautiful ones. But when we don't integrate it, it becomes autonomous. It splits off, gaining a life of its own, and it talks. The inner critic is that split-off voice. Not only does it sound like you, it speaks with the authority of your past, your strict parent, the teacher who humiliated you in front of the class, the friend who abandoned you, the society that told you who you should be. Over time, these voices blend into one powerful, internalized figure. The critic, it becomes the gatekeeper of your self-expression. It tells you you're lazy when you're tired. It tells you you're selfish when you set boundaries. It tells you you're not ready when you're already late. And you believe it, because it's in your voice. But here's what Jung teaches us. The shadow is a moral problem that challenges the whole ego personality. For no one can become conscious of the shadow without considerable moral effort. In other words, facing the inner critic requires courage, because when you look into the eyes of that voice, you may see yourself. But it's not all of you. It's the part that was hurt and became a protector. But now that protection is a prison. How the inner critic sabotages lives. Let's bring this into the real world through story. One, the creative who never creates. Sarah is a writer. She dreams of publishing a book, but every time she starts, she hears it. This has been done before. You're not a real writer. What if no one reads it? So she edits obsessively. Or worse, she doesn't write at all. What she doesn't realize is, the voice isn't about her talent. It's about safety. Writing exposes her. And long ago, she learned that being vulnerable led to pain. Her inner critic is her shadow, trying to protect her by keeping her small. 2. The high achiever with no peace. Mark is a successful entrepreneur. To the world, he has it all. But inside, he's constantly anxious. Why? Because his inner critic never sleeps. You could have done more. Don't get comfortable. If you slow down, you'll fall behind. Mark's self-worth is tied to achievement. Why? Because as a child, love was conditional. He learned, I'm only worthy if I perform. Now his critic keeps him running. But he's not running towards something. He's running from himself. Metaphor, the guard dog that won't stop barking. Imagine you have a guard dog. It was trained to bark when there's danger. It kept you safe when you were vulnerable. But now, the world is different. You're not in danger anymore. But the dog still barks. Loudly, constantly. That dog is your inner critic. It's trying to help, but it's using old rules in a new world. And it's time to retrain it. Jung's path to integration. How to face the inner critic. So how do we change this? Not by silencing the inner critic, but by understanding it. Jung didn't believe in destroying the shadow. He believed in integrating it. Here's the process. 1. Awareness. Start by noticing the voice. Next time you hear the critic, ask, whose voice is this really? What is it trying to protect me from? What part of myself did I once have to hide? Awareness disrupts the autopilot. Don't dialogue. Talk to the critic. Yes, literally. Write to it in a journal. Ask, what do you want? What are you afraid will happen if I don't listen to you? Often you'll find that underneath its harshness is fear, and beneath the fear is love. 3. Reclaim the shadow. What qualities is your critic attacking? Assertiveness, creativity, joy? These may be the very traits you repressed long ago. Begin to reclaim them. Paint badly. Say what you need. Dance in the kitchen. This is not rebellion. This is integration. The archetypal battle, ego versus shadow. Jung spoke often of archetypes, universal patterns in the human psyche. The inner critic is a distorted form of the senex archetype, the wise elder gone rigid. When unbalanced, it becomes the tyrant, demanding, critical, controlling. But when integrated, it transforms into discernment, into wisdom, into healthy boundaries. The key is not to exile the critic, but to redeem it, to bring the shadow into the light, to make it a servant of your wholeness, not your shame. Why this matters? The collective inner critic. This isn't just personal, it's cultural. We live in a world that profits from your self-doubt. Social media algorithms feed on comparison. Advertising thrives on inadequacy. Productivity culture glorifies burnout. The result? A generation drowning in perfectionism and self-loathing. But what if we all began to question the voice? What if millions of people realized, this critic is not who I am, it's who I was taught to be? That would be a revolution. Because when people reclaim their full selves, shadow and all, they stop being controlled. They start creating, loving, leading. They become whole, and wholeness is power. The mirror awakens. So here's the truth. The critic in your mind, the one that shames you, belittles you, paralyzes you. It was built by wounds, by parents, by systems. But it is not your identity. You are not the voice that says, you're not enough. You are the one who hears it and chooses to rise anyway. In Jung's words, wholeness is not achieved by cutting off a portion of one's being, but by integration of the contraries. So tonight, when the voice returns, don't fight it, face it. Look in the mirror and say, I see you. I know why you came, but I choose a different path. Because beneath the critic is your power. Behind the mask is your light. And in the shadow is the rest of who you are. If this resonated with you, don't just scroll past. Comment below, what does your inner critic sound like? Share this with someone who's hard on themselves. Journal writing for today. What part of me did I have to hide to be accepted? Subscribe for more deep dives into the unconscious. This isn't just psychology. This is a movement, and it begins with you. The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. Carl Jung. Stay conscious, stay curious, and remember, you are not broken, you are becoming.